This next upcoming season is going to be a gauntlet with the teams formed in the Western Conference, whereas the Eastern Conference, including injuries and the newest moves, will in my opinion be nowhere near as tough as the other side, which is exactly why I wanted to start with the Eastern Conference for my predictions for the playoff teams ahead of next season. And by playoff teams, I mean the franchises that will hold the top 6 spots and guaranteed a spot in the postseason. Of course, these are all my opinion, and I very much want to hear what you guys think the teams will be, and what you agree and disagree with in the comments down below. So with that being said, let's get into the list. Starting at the top, I think the conference remains consistent from the previous year. The Cavaliers had 3 All-Stars last year and in my opinion are going to repeat as frontrunners for the Eastern Conference, especially without Boston contending with an injured Jason Tatum. Now as far as wins for this franchise, I could see them flirting with hitting the 60 win mark in this season again, but I'm guessing right below that mark on the year with a more surprising East than we had a season ago. And to me, the combination of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland when healthy is one of the best backcourts in the East, if not the entire NBA. Not to mention Mobley and even some bench pieces that are good at putting the ball in the basket, but with no major moves, it's hard to imagine a healthy season without Cleveland back on top of the East, which I feel is one of the most simple and straightforward spots in the league next year. The Eastern Conference second place finish, I have the New York Knicks, who honestly surprised me a bit in the playoffs last year. Now this team finished third in the conference a season ago, and I see them taking up the Boston spot, sliding into a near 50-win season yet again as Boston slides further down the standings. It'll be interesting to see how the Knicks adjust to what I assume will be a lowered load management under a new head coach. While many might not say that he's better than Thibodeau, Mike Brown was probably the best coach on the market for the franchise to get by far and could be beneficial for the players going forward. So with the players grabbing more rest, more of that pressure will be on the bench to push the Knicks into the second spot in the conference. Or I could see the lowered minutes lead to the stars impacting the game more in their time on the court. And I think it could easily be done with the talent on the roster and with more time to develop the chemistry with the season under their belt with Karl Anthony Towns. And my third in the East is where things start to shake up a bit, and I have the Magic making an improvement from 7th in the conference last year. To me, the Magic made one of the best moves of the entire offseason when they decided to bring in Desmond Bane. And even the move that's talked about less, which is getting Tyus Jones to fill the Cole Anthony void. And you couple that with the natural development of Banchero and Wagner, I think this franchise has an actual push to running this conference in a very short time and honestly potentially even this season. I mean, from a statistical standpoint, only one player on the 2025 roster shot over 40% from behind the 3-point line on the season, and the Magic filled that hole with Bane, who is a career 41% 3-point shooter. The team is not only going to be a threat to the conference this season, but a threat to the NBA once they find out how to play together. Not to mention Banchero is close to being an MVP caliber player this early in his career. The Magic have all the pieces from defense, a superstar, and a killer second option. Next comes the biggest leap in the Eastern Conference that really relies on the health level of the team. I have the Philadelphia 76ers finishing 4th in the East. The 76ers finished 13th in the East with only 24 wins on the year in 2025, and even whenever they found bright spots like in rookie Jared McCain, things still ended up going south. Hopefully this season we see Embiid on the court for majority of the games, and the same goes for Jared McCain. Another important factor would be Paul George playing at a better level than he did last year, which I think is possible with the number of threats that Philly will have. Other bright parts like rookie VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, and even Justin Edwards, all 3 players have shown that they can be valuable pieces that help the franchise make a run for 4th in the conference. However, if all things align, mostly in terms of health, I'm sure the 76ers will be one of the toughest Eastern Conference teams. A franchise that I could actually see finally taking that conference finals trip with Joel Embiid. However, due to the history of these players missing time, I think the missed portions of the season will be the reason that Philadelphia doesn't find themselves at the top of the conference. Then to me, the Boston Celtics slide down to 5th without Tatum for majority, if not all of the season. I mean, I do have players like Peyton Pritchard taking a huge leap this year, and the team still has other solid pieces all around. But losing Tatum isn't the only downfall to this roster ahead of another season. season. They also lost Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, who also played a huge role in how this team performs in this season. And to be honest, if Pritchard doesn't take the leap that I expect him to, I wouldn't be surprised if the organization slides to the play-in games. However, with the pedigree on the defensive side of the ball that Derek White and Jaylen Brown bring on their own is enough for me to side with them finishing inside the top 6. And this year will be more of a testament to how much value we need to place in Tatum moving forward, opposed to how well the other players can step up. With solid coaches and players, and on the back of 11 straight playoff appearances, I think the Celtics stay inside the guaranteed spots despite my urge to move them outside. Then next I put the Detroit Pistons to finish 6th in the conference, which would put them in the same position that they finished in last season. A large part of this placement for the Pistons is just the belief and the skills behind Cade Cunningham, and the former #1 overall pick has shown nothing other than that so far in his short career. Not to mention that I personally believe that Asar Thompson has the ability to play at levels similar to his brother, and we will get to see that in this next year. The combination of the two, along with a weaker conference, could lead to the Pistons grabbing 6th in the East again. But the lack of true talent outside of those two is the reason it's difficult for me to place them any higher, and had the Bucks not lost important roster pieces, then I wouldn't even have the Pistons here. But otherwise, additions like Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert, although I may not like the contractual obligations, still undeniably make this team better. But they're not big enough moves to move the needle above some of these other teams in the East. Now the Pistons are trending in the right direction, and I could even see the team winning a first round matchup this year, but as far as the regular season is concerned, I see them finishing just inside the top 6. So those are my teams that I expect to grab the guaranteed 6 playoff spots for the Eastern Conference in the 2026 season. And I'll be working on my rankings for the West, so be on the lookout for that video. But like I said, let me know down in the comments what team you would have on your early rankings and why you disagree or agree with where I put these teams. And don't forget that one of my followers is getting a rally towel from me, so make sure you're following and comment the best player from your favorite team to enter the giveaway. I'm choosing the winner August 1st.